I am Dr. Raglan of Zombie Hunter University. Today's tutorial is on the scientific minimalist approach to hunting flaming long arms. Students who graduate to Sekronom Bunker will encounter three types of mini-bosses not previously seen in Fairview: flaming long arms, flaming rumblers, and flaming fleshhounds. These creatures appear almost exclusively in black and white zones in the farthest eastern regions of the city. As shorthand, we will refer to these creatures as Black Zone mini-bosses throughout the following lectures. One important characteristic of black mini-zone bosses is that they do not appear alone. They always appear in groups. Multiple flaming mini-bosses are a rare phenomenon near previous outposts, except for occasional missions such as Big Bang, which involves 15 flaming zombies. Students will have had little experience with this kind of boss hunt. The strategies discussed in this lesson are applicable to all three Black Zone mini-bosses, but today we will focus specifically on flaming long arms because they are the easiest of the three to defeat. As their name suggests, the flaming long arms are stronger, more dangerous versions of long arms. Like all Black Zone mini-bosses, flaming long arms are deceptive in appearance. Their diminutive size makes them look less threatening, but they have more health and inflict more damage than titans, mothers, giant spiders, and wraiths. Fortunately, flaming long arms move at the same pace as their non-flaming counterparts, making them relatively easy to outmaneuver. We generally recommend using weapons that can theoretically kill a boss in 2 minutes of continuous attack time. However, only a handful of affordable weapons meet that criteria for flaming long arms: the Ripsaw G12 chainsaw, the Hammerhead 47 assault rifle, the FM Mag and M60 heavy machine guns, and one or two others. Fortunately, less powerful weapons will do the job. In fact, just about any looting or grinding weapon with 100 proficiency or higher is good enough if you can manage to stay one step ahead of the target. As always, the secret of boss hunting is to kill the boss before it kills you. Astronomical damage per second is necessary only if you lack the dodging skills to stay alive more than a few minutes. In the case of Black Zone mini-bosses, students will need to survive more than a few minutes because there is more than one target, theoretically 5 during each Black Zone mini-boss hunt. To overstate the obvious, the main challenge of killing multiple bosses is that there is more than one. Facing them simultaneously can be overwhelming. Even attacking them one by one can become an endurance test that takes up the better part of an hour. There are a couple of ways to deal with this. First, hunt the flaming long arms and other Black Zone mini-bosses with help from fellow graduate students. There are advantages to this approach, such as faster kill time and saving money on ammunition. However, there is also a chaotic element to group boss hunts in the black and white zones. To cite the most obvious example, these zones are infested by irradiated rumblers which explode upon death. There is no way to prevent your fellow students from killing them while they stand next to you. Do you really want to die in the middle of a boss hunt as collateral damage? The second option is a basic one we have mentioned many times before. Retreat around the block to thin out the aggro. When the opportunity arrives, focus all your firepower on the flaming long arms. Without too much fancy footwork, it is relatively easy to isolate a single flaming long arm simply by running around the block several times. Other flaming long arms will get lost and then reappear after you have killed your current target. To achieve this strategy, we recommend using a grinding weapon only to fend off aggro swarms. Once the other zombies have fallen behind, switch to a looting weapon and aim for your main target. Melee can work, but rifles and pistols are better because you want to run continuously, not wait for the flaming long arm to get close enough for you to hit it. Of course, if you can find an isolated kill zone, such as a fenced yard or a parking lot, chainsaws are a great way to finish off flaming long arms without expending ammunition. We should pause here to mention that, although Black Zone mini-bosses supposedly appear in quintets, this is not always the case. In our field tests, we frequently spotted only 3 when our test subjects conducted solo boss hunts. Only during group boss hunts did we see 5 Black Zone mini-bosses. This is advantageous because it provides more opportunities to collect loot from the dead bosses, but in fact far more than 5 bosses will appear because new ones spawn every time a new student enters the hunting area. This can make it very hard to collect loot. In any case, back to our main point. 3 bosses are obviously easier to deal with than 5, and more often than not, students will be able to handle them one at a time instead of simultaneously. Earlier, we mentioned that long arms were the easiest Black Zone mini-boss to hunt. The reason for this should be apparent from the field tests captured by our overhead drone video camera. Flaming long arms move at almost the perfect speed to make themselves easy targets. They are fast enough to outrun other zombies, but they are not fast enough to outrun students. Consequently, zombie hordes shield the flaming longarms only intermittently. For most of the time spent hunting, students will have a clear shot at the targets. Therefore, only very basic skills are needed to succeed in this endeavor. The only special skill we recommend developing is learning to carefully calibrate your speed. If you let the flaming longarm get too close, it will pause to strike. After enough pauses, other zombies will catch up. If you can learn to stay just out of reach, keep the zombie within your shooting range, but stay outside of its strike range, you can do a much better job of staying ahead of the aggro. To be clear, hunting flaming longarms is easy only in relative terms. Nevertheless, good weapons and competent skills are enough. The most dangerous part of the mission, as always, is the initial engagement before the swarms have been thinned out. Use your best grinding weapon to stay alive for the first circuit or two around the block, then switch to whichever weapon you prefer to train your firepower upon the flaming longarm. At this point, it is simply a matter of not making foolish mistakes. Keep in mind that collecting the loot presents its own problems. After killing the first flaming longarm, a second will appear and pursue you, making it difficult to pause long enough to pick up loot. You may have to circle the block several times to stay ahead of the new flaming longarm and the other zombies, but if you have survived this long, success is nearly guaranteed.